Ooh, let me at him.
Consider it done.
As autumn creeps through the heartland of Fiora, signs of change are apparent even on the coast. The waves are rougher, the wind more biting, and in every seaside village, fishermen hang up their nets in favor of crab cages. With the days growing shorter, only the brave, or foolish, walk the coast alone, for danger lies both above and below the tides.
Here we are. The last scout report from this area mentioned there might be Medusae around.
Might be. Last I heard, the area's crawling with them. Shouldn't be hard to find.
Well, if there's a lot of them, then we need to be careful.
That we do. Ready your weapon if you hear a hiss.
Yes?
Yes.
Need something?
That's me.
I'm ready.
Oh, miss me.
Okay.
Ah, lovely. Are you sure?
Watch out! You're getting a good return on... Need me? Where are we going? What's the latest?
What do you require?
General?
What is that?
A shrine of some kind, maybe? It looks like something can fit into that slot there.
Maybe. Let's check it out.
Keep it up.
One scale to go.
Come on!
Great minds think alike.
I'm ready.
This is it!
What is it?
You bastards are bloody awful at this, you know that?
Where to? What do you need?
Two scales seem to be missing.
General?
Two scales seem to be missing. Two scales seem to be missing.
Got it. What now?
What do you fancy?
Think I came prepared.
Yes.
It must be done.
What do you require?
Throwing your life away. You're next.
What do you fancy?
What is it?
What's the latest?
What now?
Oh, miss me.
I will follow.
I'll keep the bastards off you.
Yes. On your order.
That's me. Need me?
What do you need?
That's me.
Go ahead.
Yes?
All righty.
Over here.
Do we always have to run?
Finally, some action.
Attack!
I'm ready.
Yes.
Need something?
Yes.
Let's be quick!
What do you fancy?
I am ready.
General?
What now?
What is it?
Right.
Just what I
What do you
needed.
need?
All right.
Over there. Looks like another one of those reavers.
Bandits! There's bound to be more!
Require.
This ends now!
What's the latest?
All right. I'm intrigued.
What is it?
Oh, miss me.
Yes. You're sure of this?
Out of the way.
We can take them.
Boys, we're in for some fun.
What is it? Lead on.
After you.
Good thing I
What
came
now?
prepared.
Where to?
What's the latest? Finally, some action.
Why won't you?
I'm ready.
Need me?
Yes.
What now? What do you require?
Yes? Easy.
I'm listening.
Well, look what we have here.
What is it?
Yes? One serving of death? Come.
It's me.
Something? Miss me. Easy.
What's the latest?
What do you need?
All right.
Why not? Ooh, let me at him. Full of this. Why won't you go?
Yeah.
You're getting it.
What now?
Need me?
Got it. All right, I'm intrigued.
I'm listening.
I'll keep the bastard.
Yes?
General?
What do you require?
Just what I needed.
What is it? This is how it ends.
Need me?
What is it?
You know it.
Stay close. What do we have here? What's this? Interesting.
Good thing I came prepared.
This way.
You're getting a good return on your investment.
I am ready.
Have to run.
Finally, some action.
Yes.
Damn it.
Healing now.
I need help.
General?
What now?
War after war has scarred Fiora, altering the tides of power across much of the continent. In Nортандер, a fragile hope for peace drives the efforts to rebuild a ravaged kingdom. A new beginning dawns for the Morhir, as their new settlement finally takes shape.
Fair enough. Let's do this.
We can take.
As Wraith orders the cohort to a sudden stop after a 2-day journey through the swamps of Lar, you cast him a questioning glance. He points to a mountain in the distance, towering towards the white blue sky. We're here. A moment passes before you notice the opening at the foot of the mountain, like a crack in the hull of an insect's egg. If there's information on those masked elves, then this is where we'll find it, he says as he steers his horse around and makes for Calibrock.
Sounds like a plan.
Try to keep up.
You again?
I have what you asked for.
Grand. Wait here. Here you go.
This will be useful. Thanks.
No refunds, no returns, just so we're clear. Good day.
Can you craft anything else?
That I can. But it'll cost you. I need materials if I'm to do the work. Here, I've written it down. Ah, and take this. You'll need it.
That smells interesting.
It's not supposed to please your nostrils. It's supposed to help you lure the troll out of the cave. Those are wood garlic leaves. Trolls can't resist the smell. Kill a mole, marinate it in the leaves, and dump it in front of the troll cave. He'll be out in no time.
Seasoning a mole. Well, why the hell not? I'll be going.
See ya.
War after war has scarred Fiora, altering the tides of power across much of the continent. In Nортандер, a fragile hope for peace drives the efforts to rebuild a ravaged kingdom. A new beginning dawns for the Morhir, as their new settlement finally takes shape. For the first few days of your journey back to Greykeep, Catras is withdrawn and quiet. But the more distance you put between yourselves and the Lorrainian swamps, the more he returns to his cheerful self. On one evening, with Greykeep looming in the distance, you find him surrounded by a group of Wolf Guard soldiers and Black Company mercenaries, regaling them with wild tales of his past adventures. Even Iria, who until this point had kept her distance, shakes her head and smiles.
Well then, the Queen will want to report.
Yes, General?
Hey, just checking in. Wanted to see how you're doing.
Fine. Thank you.
Fine? That's it? If something's wrong, you can tell me.
No, it's not that. I never thought I'd see beyond the Howling Steppes. It's strange.
What do you mean?
I knew it would be different, but not this different. Like here in Greyfell, there are so many people crammed together. The walls feel like a basket collecting and trapping everything. And it's so loud. How does anyone stand it?
It takes some getting used to, especially after being out in the field. I'm sure in a week you won't even notice.
If you say so.
I imagine the Howling Steppes must be very different. What's it like living there?
Nothing like this.
That's extremely vague. You're avoiding the question.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. I'm not used to conversing with outsiders. It's hard to know what to say and what not to.
We're not that different from you, actually. Aside from the preference for walls.
Yes, I see your point. It's just that we're taught from an early age to only trust our own people. Outsiders are to be avoided.
Were we the first outsiders you met?
No, others have come before. They all received my father's warm welcome.
What made us different?
You needed information about Sheogdad. And, to be honest, we needed the help. It was, as my people call it, a Velden trade. Fair.
Is this related to what your father said? That outsiders only bring suffering to the world?
Yes, although it's not personal. He means that outsiders haven't renounced violence the way the Aliani have.
So the Aliani are better than everyone else?
I didn't say that, but we're not driving the cart off the cliff, so to speak.
In that case, I'm grateful you put your trust in me.
Well, the truth is, General, I don't know you. You seem to mean well, so far, but I'd be a fool to believe in words alone.
Fair enough. I'll let my actions speak for themselves then.
Yeah, that would be best. Anyway, you must be busy. Let us speak again some other time.
Go ahead.
What? And you thought you could just walk in here and all would be forgiven? You are a war criminal, Catrus Vertarth. You helped Rondor Lacane in the Purity Wars. Regardless of what your intentions may be now, the Crown does not forget.
That may be so, but she needs me. Without me, my men, and the information I have access to, you will have a hard time tracking down those sleepers you're after. That being said, once all this is over, I'll accept my punishment, whatever it is. But for now, please let me help you. I'm trying to do good here.
Fine. You will be granted temporary amnesty until the threat has been taken care of. So will your men.
Thank you. Trust me. These technologies and new men I hired will be worth their...
Tell us what you found out about the sleepers and that masked woman.
I think you're dealing with the Dark Crescent. A group of terrorists that separated from the Exalted Father's realm. In short, they committed over 36 terrorist attacks on the public. Though they've never been caught, we know that it's a former sleeper who's leading them. A woman with extraordinary abilities, who burned down her wellspring and everybody in it before breaking ties with the realm. She's the one you fought in that village in La.
What more can you tell us about her? About the masked woman?
Not much, I'm afraid. Sleepers are stripped of their names once they enter the Wellsprings. All I know about her is that she's extremely powerful. Probably the strongest sleeper the realm has produced in a while. But who knows? Maybe that title will go to Sorobi soon. Bloody girl. Bloody stubborn girl.
Most powerful sleeper or not, she is made of flesh and blood, as we all are, and can thus be dealt with. What worries me more is that we are dealing with an extremist. This means she will probably not listen to diplomacy and reason.
Probably not, no. And as for the extremist part, keep in mind that sleepers are completely bonkers. They lack all empathy and humanity as we define it.
Meaning?
Meaning she probably thinks more like a construct. A golem, if that makes sense. Her brain has concluded that for whatever reason, helping Sir Evil God into our world is the right thing to do. And she's dead set on making it happen.
How come Wraith doesn't know about them?
I'm wondering the same thing.
Because it only just happened 3 years ago. Just when you became an exile, in other words.
How sure are you it's them?
Very sure.
Why did this Dark Crescent turn on the Dark Elven realm? What's their agenda?
Well, that's the thing. Nobody knows. Most of their attacks seemed completely arbitrary. Sometimes they targeted members of the Soul, sometimes workers, sometimes their only intent seemed to be to do as much damage as possible. Then again, keep in mind that sleepers, like all Dreamweavers, think differently than we do. There might be a logic in their actions that we simply don't understand. Yet.
Since you're speaking in the past tense, I assume the Dark Crescent hasn't terrorized anyone in a while.
Correct. A year ago, they just disappeared into the shadows.
To start harvesting souls for the God of Light.
But what interest would a terrorist group have in bringing the God of Light into this world?
I have absolutely no idea.
Well, then at least we know who we're up against. The Dark Crescent. The question is, how do we find them?
Well, that's the problem. As terrorists, the Crescent works from the shadows. So nobody knows where their hideout is, if they even have one. But my men are on it. We'll do everything in our power to find them, and we'll let you know once we've found something.
Fine. I suppose it is the best we can do for now. You did good work, General.
Do you think the battle in the mire will have consequences? Sorobi, Catriss's daughter, said she'd report us to the realm.
May I?
Yes.
Frankly, I doubt it. On the contrary, if what the Exalted Father wanted was to get rid of the Fleshkin without the involvement of the Strength, then if anything, we did him a favor. I'll grease some palms to make sure the official reports say it was just a mercenary army.
Either way.
You must be very tired. Shall we reconvene tomorrow? Frankly, I could do with a small recess myself.
With your permission, I could use a rest, yes.
Good. Then the audience is hereby concluded. Let the ambassador know if you are ready to discuss further steps.
Yes. Out of the way. Keep it up. Over here. Stay close. What are you reading? A letter?
What? It's nothing.
All right. But if you need to talk, I'm here.
Well, actually, I could use a friendly ear. Sure you want to hear this, General? This won't be as fun as our last talk.
Yes. Tell me.
Fair enough. Someone died. My former husband, Lauren.
I'm sorry.
Not your fault. But first Tahar, and now him. Fate has a messed up sense of humor.
I didn't even know you were married.
Well, I never told anyone. Lauren and I, that was 8 years ago. 2 years after I fled Finn and Mir, and 4 years before I met Tahar.
Why did you flee Finn and Mir? I meant to ask you, but I never got the chance.
Long story. Suffice it to say that I trusted the wrong people.
All right. You were a vagabond before you joined Tahar, weren't you?
Yes, I was. A traveling healer.
I see. So, who was Lauren? How did you meet?
In the woods of Highmark. He was a forester. I had made camp in a clearing, but must have eaten something bad for dinner. Because when I woke up the next day, I had terrible stomach cramps. I tried to push on, but I couldn't even move without throwing up. So instead, I spent the whole day lying in my tent, puking my guts out. The problem was, my provisions were almost gone, and I was severely dehydrated.
And I guess Lauren found you?
Found me, took me to his village, and nursed me back to health. When I had fully recovered, he offered to let me stay, and that I did. For 2 years.
Just like that?
No, not just like that. But if I were to tell you the whole story, we'd still be sitting here by dawn. It simply felt right. I don't know how else to say it.
And you got married?
After a year, yes. You see, Lauren was a good man. One of these incredibly honest, genuine people who wear their hearts on their sleeves. Simply because they have nothing to hide. He was kind, caring, and beautiful. And though he knew he didn't have much to offer materially, he laid what he had at my feet. And all of that even though I wasn't even a good match. An exiled elf. A vagrant, a mage. There were plenty of other women he could have been with. But he wanted me. I still don't get it, to be honest.
Did you love him?
Yeah, I did.
You make it sound as though Lauren was perfect. Was he really?
Well, not entirely, of course. He was a little too complacent sometimes and always went out of his way to avoid an argument. If it hadn't been for that, he could have easily become the village mayor. He simply didn't want it, though. He didn't have the ambition. As far as dark secrets were concerned, though, he had none. He was just good. And that's it.
And the villagers didn't have a problem with you being an elf and him being a human?
I would have thought so. But the people in Auchendale didn't, no. They actually respected me. Though Lauren probably played a big role in that. The people loved him.
So, what happened between you?
Well, one day I woke up with a strange feeling. As though all of a sudden there was a huge leaden weight on my shoulders. Everything felt so alien, so wrong. Our bed, the flowers he had brought me the day before, everything. Even Lauren himself. I wanted to tell him, but for some reason, the mere thought of it turned my stomach. So I left. I wrote him a letter, packed my things, and I left.
And you have absolutely no idea where that feeling came from?
No. I've thought about it a lot, but all I've come up with are guesses.
Such as?
rather not go into detail. I'm sorry.
How could you do that to him? Leaving without saying a word?
I don't know, Arif. I just don't know. But staying, it just wasn't an option. It would have smothered me, dramatic as that may sound. And please don't think this came easy for me. On the contrary, I spent the next few months doing nothing but crying. I know it doesn't make it any better, but that's how it was.
And that's the end of the story? You left and never went back?
Well, I did go back to Auchendale 3 years later. He was with a new woman, and she was expecting.
Must have felt strange.
It did at first, yeah. But ultimately, I'm glad that he was able to move on. He deserved happiness.
I see. And how did he die? Who wrote that letter?
A mercenary that I hired some weeks ago. I had been thinking of him a lot after Tahar's death, and wanted to make sure he was okay, which, as it turns out, he wasn't. He got bit by a rabid wolf while he was out in the woods.
Just let me know if there's anything I can do.
You already have. You listened.
This might be a stupid question, but how do you feel?
Lost, I guess. I know Lauren probably loathed me for what I did, but up to this day I had always felt as though he was still there. And now he's gone. And I never even found the courage to explain why I left, or to apologize. You remind me of him somehow. You know that? You're good. The world is filled with selfish fools, but you're not one of them.
What makes you think that?
I just do. You know, I've been with men and women since, but I always seem to cling to only the ones who don't love me. To the ones who do, like Lauren. I'm like poison. Good thing we're just friends, isn't it?
What are you trying to say?
Nothing. Never mind. I need some time now, okay? I'll be ready when duty calls.
This way. Yes.
General.
You still owe me an explanation for what happened in Calibrock. Who was Zayath? And what does she have to do with the death of your family?
And here I was hoping you'd forgotten about it. Fine. I promised you the truth, didn't I? I can tell you, but it's not exactly an uplifting story. Also, I imagine you have better things to do.
I want to know my allies. I helped you in Calibrock, so at least tell me what this is about.
As you wish. Come, let's talk somewhere else. Somewhere with less people around.
Atop the mammoth stronghold of Greykeep sits King's Vantage, a gathering place of merchants, servants, and nobles alike. From here, the high towers of the keep encircle the terrace, a grove of stone jutting out from the city below. Beyond, the vast countryside of Nортандер stretches to the far horizon, a view that both reminds...
Well then, you've heard about the Bloodburn, haven't you?
No, you don't understand.
Yes. Good. Then you know it only affected people who weren't magically gifted. I already told you in La that my family, my wife, and my boy died from the Bloodburn. What you don't know, though, is that I could have prevented it. I thought Zayath was responsible, but she was right. I'm to blame. To make it short, when the Bloodburn first surfaced, I refused to see it for what it really was. When the rest of our village fled, I forced my family to stay. And when it hit a week later, it happened fast. I didn't notice because I'm a mage and it didn't affect me. But when I got back home from the laboratory, my wife, Jerobi, and my son, Atros, greeted me at the doorstep. Their eyes swollen and their foreheads burning with fever.
How come your son didn't live in a commune?
Because we didn't live in Calibrock, but in a small village near the coast. Most children there are brought to the Calibrock communes when they come of age, but there are exceptions.
What was your profession?
I told you I was a mage of the intelligence. A scholar.
Yes, but how did you provide for your family? Research alone doesn't pay for food.
It does in the realm. If you're a part of the intelligence and the council deems the focus of your work worthy, it will provide for you as long as you pursue your studies. That's what Syeth and I did in that village. We studied the nature of life and death.
What were they like? Atros and Jerobi?
Different than me. Atros was only 7 when he died, but he took after Jerobi. Good-hearted and optimistic. I never understood how she did it. She had been through hell, and yet she didn't let it bring her down. I still don't understand what she saw in a pessimist like me.
I understand her. You're intelligent and you're kind.
What makes you think I'm kind?
I don't know. It's just something about you. You're distant and withdrawn, but I can tell.
If you say so.
Why didn't you flee with the others?
Well, what I told Jerobi was that the rumors were superstitious nonsense. A plague that spreads through a song in the wind. Nonsense.
Only that wasn't the full truth.
Mostly I ignored it because I was too absorbed with myself. All I cared about was my work. My experiments. I was on the verge of a breakthrough, and had I abandoned the laboratory, they would have failed. So I rationalized the danger, and stayed. I spent the next fortnight watching them die. And there was nothing I could do. All my life I'd spent studying the nature of life and death. Yet they withered away right before my eyes.
You're a mage. Did you try to heal them?
Of course I did. But it was pointless. And even though I tried to tell myself otherwise, I knew it the moment they opened that door.
And that's when you broke ties with the realm?
Oh, I didn't break ties. I just ran. To tell you the truth, I don't even remember. It was all blurry. Fragments. I must have spent at least a moon in my home, drinking myself to oblivion. When I finally came to my senses, I was lying in an abandoned fisherman's hut somewhere in the swamps, covered in dirt and bug bites.
That must have been just weeks before you met Tahar, right?
Yes. Have you ever lost someone, General? Someone who was the world to you?
Yes.
Then maybe you know how it feels. That kind of pain. It never goes away. Every day it's like I'm walking through this fog. And while I know I'm alone, I can still see their silhouettes up ahead, reminding me of what once was, and what could have been if I hadn't murdered them. Syeth was also an intelligence scholar, and we worked together in the laboratory. Just a few weeks before I came here, I found out that she'd been to a village the Bloodburn had infested long before it came to ours. So I shifted the blame onto her. Had she told me how dangerous the Bloodburn was, I would have fled with the others, I told myself. It was nonsense, of course, and she was right. I ignored the warning signs even when they became so evident that she left. And all because I was too arrogant to abandon my research. I killed them.
You didn't kill them, Wraith. You made a mistake.
The result's the same.
I'm sorry for your loss.
So am I. I guess if there really is a silver lining to everything, then mine is that their death made me realize something. Ultimately, we're on our own. As long as you make your purpose for living something outside of your control, you're doomed to lose it all eventually. You'll never make that mistake again. Anyway, I've been rambling on for too long. I hope I satisfied your curiosity, General. I will see you on the next mission.
Ugh, why is everything still spinning?
See you later, Rara.
See ya.
Over here. I'm listening. What's this?
Great view, isn't it? I have to say, Greyfell is more fun to look at than Calabrock.
Is it?
Hell yes. I mean, if spikes and chains and nails are what you're into, I guess it's pretty. Not my kind of aesthetic, though. Either way, something you need.
You and Wraith don't like each other, do you?
Well, I don't have a problem with him. He's the one dishing out the cold stares.
How come?
Oh, it's always been like that. I never got it, to be honest. I think it's because we're so different. See, General, Wraith has always been the silent, brooding type. He's a thinker, and for him, motivations are as important as results, even if he never tries to claim otherwise. Take what happened to his family, for example. He hates himself for it, and he thinks there's something noble about that self-loathing. Almost like a never-ending funeral rite, you could say. I, on the other hand, am not a man for regrets. I act, I reflect, and I don't look back. It's almost poetic, that.
And that's why Wraith dislikes you?
I think so, yeah. To him, I'm a primitive, selfish, drunken brute whose recklessness is the only reason he made it so far. I'm everything he detests.
Did you ever try to make up?
Yeah, recently actually. The day after we got back from the Crimson Mire.
How did that go?
Just how I expected. He gave the right answers, nodded in the right places, but walked away with that same sullen look on his face.
And that's all? He dislikes you because he thinks you're selfish?
No, you don't understand, General. He thinks his wife and his kid are dead because he was too selfish. In his eyes, I still am selfish, and hence, in that strange and twisted way his mind works, I embody a part of his old self. I embody the reason his family's gone. But then again, I might be wrong. Maybe it's just that back in the communes, I became quite popular over the years, and he didn't. Things like that stick.
I see. I've been wondering, do you really plan on accepting your punishment once all this is over?
Of course I do.
Really?
Yeah, I can't wait to rot in a mouldy, dark dungeon with a sultry torture mistress putting clothespins all over my body. Especially since, you know, just taking my things and making a run for it once the job here is done is something I'd never even consider.
I thought you regretted what you did.
I do. But my idea of regret isn't rotting away in a dark cell, rather than actively trying to make up for what I did. Like I'm doing now. I'm no good to anyone dead, am I?
This may sound a little odd, but I've been wondering, what are a mercenary leader's long-term goals? How do you plan to grow old?
Right into the deep stuff, eh? Honest answer? I don't know. I don't spend much time dwelling on these kinds of things.
Wouldn't that help?
Why? So that I can picture myself all old and saggy trying to resurrect the shriveling snake down there? No, I'll pass. The more you think about these kinds of things, the more you worry. Until I'm too weak to wield an axe and too boring to go carousing with, I don't see the point in brooding over the thought.
How's the morale of your men?
What do you mean, morale? The Queen pays us, we're happy. End of story.
Not you, though, right? You're not here for the money.
Oh, let's not do this, shall we?
Do what?
Solemn declarations of ideals, me telling you that I've changed. If my years as a mercenary have taught me anything, it's that words are worth nothing. If I had a penny for every time I told some rich fool what he wanted to hear because it got me where I wanted, I would be shitting in golden potties by now. So this one time, judge me by my actions, not by my words. Deal?
Deal. So, Catris, are you with someone?
By the Guardians? Are you flirting with me, General?
Do you mind?
Why, I am shaken to my core. Here I am, an innocent nobleman, fighting the end of the world, yet all the fabled General Arev thinks about when seeing me is... canoodling.
Innocent, my ass.
You wound me. Scandals aside, though, as much as it hurts me to say it, I've never been, excited about men that way. Don't get me wrong, if I were, you'd be on the top of my list. And not just my list, but I'm just not feeling it. Sorry.
How'd you do it?
Do what? Look so dashing?
No. How do you always make light of everything? It just feels like... I don't know. Nothing ever gets to you.
Huh. Let me tell you a story, General. Once upon a time, there was a dark elven boy. Like every dark elf from Calabrook, he one day found himself on a bunk bed in a dank room cut into a cave reeking of mould, sweat and boiled cabbage. His memories were gone after drinking the brown liquid, and everything about his new surroundings terrified him. So that's also how he behaved. Eyes downcast, voice low and whispery. Like the hyenas children are, the other boys quickly caught scent of his weakness. And so only 1 week after his admission into the communes, the boy found himself surrounded by 3 other boys, demanding his breakfast ration, mushrooms and a crust of bread.
What did he do?
He handed both over, and he did the same thing the next day, the day after, and the weeks that followed. But the boys decided that merely depriving him of his food wasn't enough, and spiced up their morning visits with clouts, punches and kicks to the gut. It went on for months, until one night, the boy found himself awake in bed, so deeply terrified of the following morning that he considered giving up altogether. He knew where the overseers kept the brown liquid, and he also knew that one of his brothers had ended it in a similar fashion the year before by drinking 2 bottles of it straight.
What about Wraith? You joined the communes the same year, didn't you?
Wraith was one of those boys who compensated for his lack of muscle with wits. He made friends with some of the older boys by running errands for them every now and then. So when the boys who bullied me tried to pull the same stunt on him, 2 broad-shouldered 50ers showed up and showed them their place.
Smart.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
There are overseers in the communes, right? How come they didn't do anything?
That one's easy, because the whole idea of the communes is weeding out the weak.
Wait. You contemplated suicide? Just because the other boys beat you up?
Were you ever a child, Arev? For boys, the approval of their peers is all there is. And not only did the boy not have that, the others hated and ridiculed him. The boy had no friends, no family, no prospect of things ever getting better. All he had was fear.
But the boy didn't kill himself.
No, because when he snuck inside the laboratories where the overseers kept the liquid, he realized something. Most of his dread was fear. The boy was afraid of the grim days that lay ahead of him. The boy didn't fight back because he was afraid of the pain they would inflict on him if he did. In short, the boy was afraid of a future that hadn't even happened.
And then?
Then he realized that even if the future and the world were as grim and dark as he thought they were, he sure as fuck wouldn't give it the satisfaction of being afraid of them. He could spend his whole life in fear. It wouldn't change a damn thing. All that mattered was action. And on that night, he had 2 choices. Ending it under the assumption that it wouldn't get any better, or wiping away those fucking tears and actually doing something for a change. The next day, when the boys came for his bread, he broke their leader's nose. They broke his hand in return, but they left. When they came back the morning after, the boy awaited them with a bottle of poison, which he threw right into their faces. They didn't come back after that. And a year later, they were eating out of his hand. What I'm getting at, fears and doubts are useless. You'll never change anything by worrying about it. Just do all you can, and once you have, fucking stop worrying. So, do I want to see Jakku stopped? Yes. Do I spend endless nights brooding over all the things that could go wrong? No. Even if my fight against cerebral god will be my last one, I'll make sure I go out with a grin on my face.
What about Zerobi? Aren't you afraid of what's going to happen to her if she pursues her military career?
I had a feeling you'd bring that up. Yes, Erev, I am afraid. But I offered her a way out and she didn't want it. It's all up to her now, as much as it fucking hurts.
I don't buy it. There must be something you're afraid of.
I never said I wasn't. I just try to keep my fears in check, and judging by the way you perceive me, it seems to work just fine.
Fair enough. Fear can be useful, though. It can raise your awareness of dangers.
Really? Do you need to tell yourself over and over that putting your hand in a fire will burn you? You can assess the risks of a situation and act accordingly. But once that's done, focus on your actions rather than the possible outcomes.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Glad to be of service.
I'll be going.
So long.
Keep it up. Out of the way.
What do we have here? All right then. What's going on here?
Oh, General. Beg your pardon. I was just...
A general? Guardians be praised. You could do something.
I was just telling...
More excuses. My son, Aston, is in danger and the guard won't send someone to find him.
Ma'am, as I've already told you, that's not something the Royal Army does.
Why do you think your son is in danger?
That foolish boy is always running off to have adventures. It's nonsense, but this last time he waved some strange, dusty amulet in front of my face, which he apparently found here in Greykeep, and that he would use it to save the world with his friends. I forbid him to leave the city, but poof, suddenly he's go-
Hold on. Amulet? Ancient?
Yes?
You sound concerned, Private.
Well, it's just... Corporal Tahar's channeling amulet disappeared from his former chambers 2 weeks ago.
Hold on. Are you insinuating that my son, stole it?
I'm not insinuating anything, ma'am. However, General Erev, this might be worth looking into. If this really is Tahar's amulet, then it might be of great help in the Wolfguard's mission.
I don't know what's more shocking. That you refuse to help me until there's the prospect of material gain, or that you actually believe that my poor baby stole from the fabled Corporal Tahar. Oh well, I suppose we have to make do with what we have.
What does this channeling amulet do?
You should probably ask a circle mage about that. The way I understood it, it allowed Tahar to channel energy on the battlefield in order to create a Titan.
Titan?
Yes, a projection of his soldiers' spirits is how Circle Mage Undergast called it. Depending on under whose banner he conjured it, it was different. Apparently Tahar found it in some Hibernian ruin. I never saw these Titans though, so it might just be hogwash.
When you say adventures, what exactly do you mean?
Well, he fancies himself a hero. Spends all day imagining himself besting monsters rather than focusing on his studies. And then he runs off to do guardians know what.
Why don't you look for him yourself if you're so worried?
What kind of question is that? Do I look like I can go traipsing around in the wild? I'm not a warrior, General.
Did he say anything about where he was going? Or how he intended to save the world with this artifact?
Well, not really, but he kept talking about a ruin near a mining village. Oh, my poor baby. You'll look for him, right, General? He's a handsome boy, noble face.
Don't worry. I'll find your son and return him to you.
Guardians be praised. Thank you, General. That's a great relief. Tell him to come back to Mama once you've found him. I'm sure he already misses me.
How couldn't he?
What do we have here?
The best wares from Kalea to Nортандер.
You know how to bargain, don't you? Yes? Want to trade? Come again. May Tiara bless your path. Farewell.
The Throne Hall, the inviolable inner sanctum of Greykeep. Here lies Nortander's seat of power, the seat from which her sovereign strikes accords and passes judgment. There is a certain hush to the cavernous hall and its many passages.
Stay close.
General, is there anything I can help you with?
Is Her Majesty free to see me? I'm ready to discuss further steps.
She is indeed. Let me inform our allies.
Well then, let us pick up where we left off. You managed to find answers to all of our questions. That is commendable. We are facing a group of rogue sleepers called the Dark Crescent, who are trying to bring the God of Light back into our world to invoke an ancient Aliani prophecy, Jakku. And apparently, Jakku depends on 4 people who the God of Light has made his tools, with or without their knowledge. Am I correct, Kayawu?
The corrupted, yes. If we stop them, we stop Jakku. At least I hope so.
Which leads us back to the big question. How do we figure out who the corrupted are? Lacane was one, that much is certain. And the masked woman, in all likelihood, is one too. But the other 2? We are still guessing. Not to mention that we still do not know if the Dark Crescent has a base of operations of sorts. And if yes, where it is.
Your men are still on the Crescent's tail, aren't they, Catrus?
Like a priest chasing the hem of a virgin's skirt, yeah. But so far, all we know is that the Crescent are running around Calibrock, Greyfell and Everlight, breaking into homes and stores as though they're looking for something. All this while they're roaming the country, siphoning people for this hoard of souls. According to my reports, they raised at least 2 more villages. One in Nортандер, one in La.
All the more reason to find out where they are hiding.
As I said, we're on it.
Wraith, when we came back from the Howling Steppes, didn't you say you might have an idea how to...
Figure out the corrupted identities. Yes, I was just about to come to that. It's a shot in the dark, but probably our best option. Your Majesty, may I?
Please.
Good. Remember when I told you of the Tapestry of Souls? An ocean of lights in darkness, representing every consciousness. If my theory is right, these corrupted souls would look and feel different than normal ones. Anomalies. If I was somehow able to glance into the tapestry long enough, I might be able to identify them. There's only one problem. Doing this would require a great deal of magical energy.
Could we call back the other circle mages to help you?
Can we afford to lose that much time? No, I think there's a different way. The Jade Staff. It's an artifact a Hibernian prince used for his experiments. All the sources point to a temple in Old Hellu, up north. What could make this expedition even more worthwhile is that this Hibernian prince is reputed to have been fascinated with the Veil and other realities. Maybe we could also find new information about the God of Light there.
You said you noticed patterns in the Tapestry of Souls. Wouldn't you have found these anomalies before?
I didn't look for them. And considering how many souls there are on Io, noticing 4 odd ones among them by pure chance would be like spotting 4 black grains of sand in a desert.
Do you think the Hibernians knew something about the God of Light?
It's possible, considering the God of Light figures in many of Io's religions. I guess we'll see.
So we have to retrieve the artifact from Old Hellu in order for you to identify the corrupted.
Try to identify the corrupted. As I said, I can't guarantee this will work. What do you think, Your Majesty?
It seems like our best option. Go then. The quartermaster will provide you with the resources for the expedition. And whatever you do, be careful. A Hibernian temple that's been vacant for so long is apt to be dangerous.
War